While being known for their vinyl figures, they aren't the only thing that Youtooz produces. They're also, more recently of course, known for making plushies as well, as sometimes brands will skip right by the figures and just make the plushies. Youtooz makes two kinds of main plushies: the sitting plushies, which are usually reserved for animals, and the chibi plushies, which are pretty much just standing plushies with a cute name. But they are a lot smaller as well. I should say that there are a ton of other variants of plushies that Youtooz makes, but these are just the most prominent and the only ones really important for this video. On April 12th, 2022, Youtooz released a sitting plushie of Vanny from Security Breach. For reference, it was released a few weeks before the Security Breach figures and a month before the first wave of plushies came out. This release was confusing and was possibly to test the waters before going all in on FNaF plushies. And I'm not covering this one right now, as a one plushie review would be short and pointless. So I'll be saving this one to review at a later date with some similar one-off releases. No, today we are looking at the plushies this was most likely a test for: the FNaF 1 and Security Breach Chibi plushies. They were finally shown off on August 11th and released 2 weeks later on August 26th for only 72 hours. A release strategy I'm not a huge fan of. Hello and welcome to Season 2 of Prize Corner, the merch review show that only gets longer with each video. 8 plushies. Thank you kindly, Marionette. These products were teased for months leading up to their release, and for a long time we thought it was just going to be the classics, only to casually have Glamrock Freddy cosplayer Saw showcase the Security Breach ones only a few days before they were officially released. This is one of the largest FNaF releases Youtooz has ever done, with 8 items, only being matched by that weird Freddy plush wave, but this was completely original, so I still think it wins. What I'm saying is that we have a treat for today. I do want to bring up something that I forgot to mention last video. The Chrome Gold Freddy Youtooz released in between these sets, and I haven't reviewed it. Well, when it comes to these weird one-off releases like the Vanny plush or Chrome Gold Freddy, I'll just be fitting it into another video so that things flow better, and I'm not making a 3-minute video on one item or randomly reviewing this figure in a plush video. So don't worry about him. He'll be reviewed soon enough in a way that I feel suits him the best. Unlike the figures, these don't have a number order, so I'll be getting a bit more creative with it this time. We'll start with Freddy and then jump over to Security Breach to cover their Freddy next, rotating with each review. Got it? Good. So, what exactly are the Youtooz Chibi plushies? Well, it isn't exactly clear. I thought it was this specific :3 mouth that they all have, but some of the plushies that are classified as Chibi do not have this kind of mouth, even in the FNaF series. So, what else do they have in common? They are standing. Yeah, these really should have just been called standing plushies, like the sitting ones were called sitting plushies. But I guess maybe it's because they're smaller than the sitting plushies, but I mean, so are the shoulder riders, even more so in fact. And sitting Toy Freddy isn't even in that classic sitting pose. You know what? It doesn't matter. The Chibi plushies are just standing plushies with a dumb name. Now these plushies don't have packaging, unlike the figures. They used to come in these big boxes, but that was a horrible idea, so instead they come in a bag that you simply throw away when you open them. And yes, they all look like this, it's a template. But all the plushies have a tag connected to the product with an easily removable metal chain. This tag also isn't very special. No quotes or unique art, just a flashy silver silhouette of the plush, and on the inside a thank you message with a drawing of the character's hands. I, of course, keep all of these, but it really isn't worth drawing attention to every single time, so unless it has some kind of weird oddity with it, I'll just show it to you on screen and then move on without really talking about it. Okay, I know I just kind of shit on these, but I want to say thank you, Youtooz, for making this a metal chain that you can just detach, and not a plastic string. Those plastic ones either force you to ruin your plushie by cutting it off, or just forever have this ugly giant tag on their ass. Thank you, Youtooz, for letting me at least remove this ugly tag. I'd say everyone should do this by default, but I'm sure that this is more expensive than the plastic ones. But for $30, yeah, this is really appreciated. One thing that's not nice is what these are attached to. Each plush has this tush tag, pretty much just an indicator of who made the plush. Usually these tags are soft and white and a bit too long, but they hold a lot of useful information for distributors and collectors alike. But here, it's a lot smaller, but it's bright pink and hard as fuck. I don't know who at Youtooz thought it was a good idea to give these cuddly plushies a sharp, gross feeling skin tag. But now, if you wanted to hug these in bed, well, get ready to be stabbed a few hundred times. Okay, I act like these are needles. They aren't that bad, but when your plush is soft and squishy, why would you want a hard, pointy thing on them? Luckily for us, the tags have gotten a lot softer nowadays, but it's still not perfect. Whatever, I don't hug my plushies too often anyway. Freddy here is gonna put a weird taste in your mouth for this series. For some reason, they made Freddy really skinny compared to the others. Was that ever his thing? No, that was Foxy. Why not make him skinny? This is such a weird choice as Freddy doesn't really match with his friends now. They all look so much bigger than him and it's not great. I could excuse this if he was like older than the others and they just changed how the plushies work, but no, this was a deliberate decision. Okay, enough about Freddy not being fat. He's not much better outside of that. He's littered with inaccuracies, and I'm not just talking about the style. There is nothing wrong with these plushies being stylized. Look, the mouths all look like this, and overall I think they're cute, especially here on Freddy. But there is a line between style and just wrong. Something like Freddy not being anywhere close to the right color is not a style thing. Okay, to be fair, I do prefer Freddy being dark brown to the, straight up fucking orange that he has in the real game. But I think this was a little too dark, and they should have gone with something more like the figure. That was a great in-between if you ask me. Another thing I'm on the fence about is Freddy's tail. Freddy's have never been depicted with a tail, which would be okay if the wave was consistent about this and gave everyone a tail, but no, they just didn't give Bonnie or Chica one. The lack of a cottontail for Bonnie is so strange since Funko loved doing that. So while I don't think adding tails is inherently bad, the inclusion of Freddy's tail is not only confusing, but it also doesn't look very good. Nub-ass tail, what's your deal? Okay, anything positive at all? Well, I love how the dark pits look with these plushies. After seeing the Pop Goes plushie's eyes, I know that this was the best choice. It makes sense to have the older characters keep the pits and let the newer Glamrocks have the more detailed stylized eyes. But thank you for not getting rid of this completely. His eyes and other details like his ear outlines and eyebrows are sewn in and it looks great. Those eyes really look incredible, which of course isn't exclusive to him. But it really makes me happy that Youtooz doesn't seem to cheap out when it comes to the eyes, something that Funko hardly cares about. But, don't get used to those sewn-in details. They are very rare for this series, but you'll see. I don't know, I guess he's soft? Okay, back to the negatives. I know this isn't really something I can express in video, but I'll try. The plush is very soft, like I said, but for some reason his hat and bow tie are even softer. Like, they feel nice and are a billion times better than Funko's disgusting feeling accessories, but I can't help but feel these are off. Like, why are these so fluffy? More so than the actual plush somehow. It just kind of looks and feels off. Like, why is the top hat fuzzy? It doesn't make any sense. Speaking of his hat, it is really understuffed for some reason. Like, maybe they just wanted it to not be all chubby, but now it just looks all wrinkly and soggy, if that makes sense. Oh, and his nose is fuzzy and I hate it. Feels like an old blueberry I dropped under the couch. For some reason, the texture reminds me of the new flocked figures, but that might just be my mind playing tricks on me. You want to know the weirdest part about all of this? I am almost 100% certain that Freddy was made separately from the rest of these. Like, there are so many inconsistencies between him and the rest of the characters. The hat was updated, his eyes holes are fluffy, but the others are embroidered, and the most obvious, skinny bitch. Freddy being made so drastically different from the others makes it clear that he was made way earlier, but the fact that he wasn't updated with the others is so odd. It makes him the obvious standout, and not in a good way. Okay, I know I'm making Freddy seem really awful, but he isn't anything that bad. He's just a pretty rough smudge on this series that just doesn't quite fit even with the less good plushies here, because at least they are the same size. I'll be giving Chibi Freddy a 4 out of 10. A harsh rating, sure, but this is such a basic character. I really shouldn't have this much to complain about, guys. Moving from one Freddy to another seems weird, but it just makes the most sense to get them out of the way first, as they are very similar. Glamrock Freddy is a recolor of Freddy. Let's just get to it. Glamrock Freddy has most of Freddy's problems and more, as well as some notable changes, making classic Freddy even stranger. But he also has plenty exclusive to him, so I won't linger on that. His color is similarly off, but this time they made him just so fucking orange, like to a sickly degree. He looks so bright. This is like Toy Freddy orange, and that is not good. The Glamrocks are obviously a lot more complicated than the classics, so of course not all details can be sewn in and embroidered, but that doesn't stop these gross-ass print-on designs to look any less awful. Some look better than others, but this just always looks cheap and kind of gross, honestly. Which is why simple wins with Youtooz plushies. Sometimes. His chest is obviously the standout. Look, I'm not gonna say it's unbearable and ruins the plush or anything. There is a lot worse printing on later plushies. But the way all the print-on stuff just looks so flat and washed out definitely makes it worse. But from here, I'll try not to mention it unless it really stands out, okay? Just know that whenever this fake printed stuff shows on, I'll be adverse to it. I mean, look at how bland his legs look, like God. But a number of Freddy's details aren't printed on, so how do those look? Well, his wristbands here never want to stay on on the plush. I'd say this was a problem for all of them, but no. Freddy's are just way more loose, and this is carried to the sitting plush, so I don't know what gives. I don't know, maybe Freddy went on a diet. This is really annoying. His shoulder pads are just flat triangles. But hey, I think his earrings are pretty cute. And those are just flat rectangles. And something that baffles me is Glamrock Freddy's hat. It isn't the same soft material that Classic Freddy had, but a more fitting, slightly rougher material that I also don't like very much. It feels flimsy, like some shit you'd give to a kindergartner. And the cheap and quite frankly lame line of felt they used to represent his ribbon has glue showing, and it just looks puffy and weird. I mean, it stands up a lot better, but is it really improved? Thankfully, they got better at doing this, along with hats in general with some later plushies. Even updating it on their Glamrock Freddy sitting plushie. So good on them. Look, a real ribbon. Now that is nice. And don't even get me started on the eyes. Oh my god, these are so pretty. I don't care what character they put these on, it will always look amazing, even if it's not exactly fitting.
Yeah, it's almost like the stupid Youtooz eyes ruin anything they're on. This should be what they all look like.
What the? Marionette, are you seeing this too? Or random YouTube video started playing.
This? Little dehumanizing.
You can talk to me? Who are you?
I am the Common Consensus, a fellow FNaF reviewer.
Okay, but why are you in my video? And why is your quality so shitty?
Oh, I'm so sorry that not everybody can afford an expensive video camera and set. So you think that only wealthy people can review FNaF, Rich? Oh, interesting.
I think you're missing my point. How are you in my video?
I don't know. I was making my own review and I guess our videos merged when the universe heard you finally agreeing with me.
Agreeing with you? When did I do that?
When you said that the Youtooz eyes are stupid.
I never said that. I actually think they're pretty cool.
What? How? They're just like a brand logo forced onto our products. Not to mention they look like ass.
Well, it's not like these are all that accurate anyway. I know I complain about inaccuracies all the time, but they aren't always a bad thing. Some can be a great addition.
So? This is kind of unrelated to the dumb eyes.
Well, I don't think so. The eyes are just part of the style. And just because they aren't exactly like the game doesn't automatically make them bad. I mean, sure, they don't always look perfect, but most of the time I think they add a lot to these things.
I guess that's a good point. But what about South Park? They let them have regular eyes.
Yeah, but that's a choice that the creator gets. Clearly, Scott thought that the Youtooz eyes were a good choice and agreed to them. And with some of these brands, their eyes are very important to the designs. It's kind of necessary there.
Oh, and the animatronics' eyes aren't important to their designs.
No, not really. I mean, how many times do animatronics just remove their eyes completely? And how often does that make them look better?
Huh. Yeah, I guess that's kind of true. But I mean, these security breach plush eyes look way better.
Yeah, of course they do. But it doesn't mean that they should all have this. It just wouldn't fit certain characters like Golden Freddy or the classics.
Okay, does that matter?
Do the characters looking good matter?
Ugh, of course it does, but the eyes just look better in general. Who cares if some designs suffer from them?
It's almost like it's a spectrum, and sometimes it looks better, and sometimes it looks worse.
Oh, shit. You're right.
Wait, I am?
Yeah. Well, I still prefer them to have their normal eyes. Sure, sometimes it looks better, even if it's mostly poopy.
Oh, yeah, I agree for the most part. Oh, he's gone. I guess resolving our conflicts fixed that weird YouTube bug. That was a strange, yet convenient way to get my point across. These eyes do look better, but the fact is, if every single figure and plush had this style of eyes, that wouldn't look right either. Like, imagine Springtrap with these cute cartoony anime eyes. Yeah, that doesn't quite work. I'm sorry, but if you wanted accuracy above everything, then why are you looking to stylized merch? Buy a Funko action figure already. Okay, that was a long and kind of off-topic rant, but it was a necessary one. And this has been a hot topic about Youtooz lately. And of course, in the future, I don't want to be afraid to bring this up again, as I know the common consensus on these things. Oh, right, Glamrock Freddy. This plush isn't bad. It's just kinda lacking, but I still think his face is cute enough to give him a 5 out of 10. Just slightly better than his older brother. Sure, it could be a lot better, and his details are a little mishandled, but I mean, at least there's something here other than just a brown bear. Let's hope the rest of the Glamrocks fare a bit better, but with more complicated designs, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't at least a little bit scared. Back to the classics, Bonnie the Bunny is up next. I wasn't a huge fan of Bonnie's figure, so maybe this plush will be an improvement. I hope that you can now see what I mean when I said that the Freddys were skinny. Look at how fat Bonnie's head is here. Okay, this is kind of a bad example of why Freddys look worse, since I don't actually like how Bonnie looks here either. But you get what I mean. Oh, yeah, I'm not a huge fan of this plush. I don't know what it is. I keep saying that I'm a huge Bonnie fan, but I just don't like any of his merch for some reason. I should say that this is a good plushie, but just enough is wrong with it to make me not really like it as a Bonnie plush. His head is shaped like an overstuffed dumpling, his color is a bit too dark blue for my taste, and I know it's inaccurate, but the fact that they gave Freddy a tail and not Bonnie is honestly a crime. That being said, I have equally little that I liked about him too. The deep red eyes look really nice on this plush, and it helps him stand out a bit more on my plushie pile. The extra space on his muzzle really let his adorable closed mouth shine, and it looks really cute on him. And I know I literally just complained about it, but I don't know, I also kind of like the color on this. It's really pretty in person. It's still a problem in my opinion, but I kind of enjoy it. But we can save the Bonnie color debate for next time. The last and most important detail on Bonnie is his big floppy rabbit ears. Thank you, Youtooz. The ears are simple long stretches of fabric with wire inside so that you can bend them to your heart's content. Like Bonnie to be alert, confused, scared, I don't know, flying? Well, you can do whatever you like with them, and it is awesome. The wire isn't the best, and they won't keep their pose forever, but they do a good job giving this funny bunny his signature ears that I love so very, very much. Bonnie is a middle-of-the-road plushie for me. He could have been a lot better, but I mean, I've been saying that about all of these. Still, Bonnie will be getting a 6 out of 10. I want to be nicer to him, but I don't know, man. He's just so basic, you know? It's so hard to give this Bonnie a glowing review when he's right next to Roxy and Glamrock Chica, or hell, even Chica or Foxy. I love the guy, but yeah, he just doesn't have the most interesting design. But before I move on, I'd like to hand the mic to someone new. Yes, I know this is a lot of character introductions for our first episode, but to be fair, one of them was out of my control. I am a very critical person. As a critic, I should hope so. While I have my reasons to dislike and like certain things, they might not be how normal and well-adjusted people would see them. That's why, once per episode, I want to ask the question, but what does Art Lad think? In this segment, I will bring in my husband, Art Lad, and he will give his own, less cynical and very much more biased opinions on whatever merch item he decides. And that item for today is Bonnie. So, without further ado, but what does Art Lad think?
I'm gonna start off with the things I'm not too fond of with this plushie. Starting off with the details around Bonnie's eyes. It's uncomfortable and surprisingly pretty abrasive to the skin. Sure, it seems fine, but the moment you want to snuggle your cheek against it, it's too rough to touch. Another gripe I have with this plushie is the back. Looking at him, he just looks so flat. I know a tail isn't game accurate, but Foxy got one. No fair. I think a tail would give Bonnie that something extra to make him a little less boring looking. And the last tiny complaint I have with the plush is the material it's made out of. While it's so soft and snuggable, it seems to very easily capture dust, making it a little bit of a hassle to keep clean. As for the stuff I love about him, he's so cute. I love his fat ass head and his little grin. I love that his ears have wires in them so you can pose them, and the wire is so soft that when you cuddle him, you won't get poked. The nub limbs were also the best choice because they give them that cute soft look. It's a bit hard to display them, but just lean them against something and they'll stand no problem. I also really love that his bow tie is made up of a different material. It makes it stand out really nicely against the rest of him, and the material that it's made up of is so soft. All in all, I think the Bonnie plush is pretty good, if not a little boring, and it could use a few tweaks to make it great. If I were to give him a ranking, it would be a 5 or a 6. Anyway, enough with my ranting about this little guy. I'll let Weegee continue with his opinions. Catch y'all later.
So who would be next in the Glamrock band? Well, I guess we could go with the other boy. Never mind. How about the other Bonnie? Oh, right, he's dead. And Youtooz takes a while to ship. Maybe someone who represents Bonnie? Fine. Montgomery Gator. So, I really hate Monty.
Monty is the underrated gem
on.
of Security Breach. Overshadowed by inferior characters such as Roxy and Freddy, Monty has just as much to offer as they do, maybe even more.
Why are you back here? You are really messing up the flow of my review.
Oh, boo-hoo, so you can't shit-talk Monty again? You already did that enough with his Youtooz.
You like this thing?
Of course not, it sucks.
Huh?
Which makes the failure of the Youtooz plushie all that much more disappointing. I mean, they didn't even give him the good Youtooz eyes. What a waste of material. And don't even get me started on the...
Wait, I'm sorry. If we agree on how the plush sucks, then why are you here? Aren't you like the anti-me?
No. I'm my own boy, pal. I'm just a manifestation of all the common FNaF fans' opinions who just happens to make YouTube videos.
Okay, jeez. I guess I just thought you were like my alter ego evil nemesis or something, but it seems like we aren't all that different.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, even as a fan of the eyes, you can agree that this sucks, right?
Don't even get me started. Oh, wait, actually do. Monty and me have some problems, but I won't bore you with the details again. Just know that while Roxy and Freddy feel like real people with emotion and heart, Monty, and to a lesser extent Chica, just kind of feel like afterthoughts. But at least Chica has a good design. This plush does a great job showcasing how dumb his design is, and it's hard to decide where to start as it all just kind of fails. You know, common consensus brought up the eyes, so I guess there's no better place than that. Monty here ditches the beautiful eyes of the other security breach plushes, and instead just drops a piece of cheap looking rough fabric shaped vaguely like glasses on them and calls it a day. Like, this is so frustratingly bad. They don't have arms, so they just kind of float here. The Youtooz eyes are just plopped in the middle there in black, so they are impossible to see. And they aren't even accurate to the game as they're supposed to be purple. The figure got this, so how was this mistake made? Oh, and remember the classic Youtooz eyes hidden under the glasses on the figure? You know, when they forgot to give him the dark pits so he genuinely just looked unfinished? Well, they did that here too in the same exact wrong way. No security breach eyes, no dark pits, just flat sideways parentheses slapped under these already poorly made glasses. I really do feel bad making fun of this since it was genuinely a great idea, but the execution was just so botched again. Alright, now that I broke the ice, it should be easier to really rip into this thing. His colors are just plain wrong. All of the parts that are supposed to be yellow are incorrectly made tan. And whether or not this is a positive or negative change, it is still clearly a problem. Speaking of colors and problems, the green part of Monty is this shitty print on fabric. All of it! For some reason, they printed the green over the tan part, which, because he is mostly green, is super fucking gross looking. I get that it's because dark green wouldn't be easy to print on, but this is kind of embarrassing for $30. Like, why isn't the belly just sewed on like with Bonnie? I know he's a simpler design, but it can't be that much more expensive. This is the worst on Monty's tail. The way it has to twist all around his body really shows how bad this looks on him. Not helping is the ugly ass, lumpy ass, cartoon chili pepper ass tail they gave him. This looks nothing like the game. Like, what is the idea here? Why is it so fat in the middle only? Probably one of the worst parts of this plush. Like, this is embarrassing. His puffy and overstuffed mohawk makes him look like the end of a broom, which is hard to blame Youtooz for since he kind of already looks like God of Sweep's racist cousin. To be fair, from the front, it looks fine, I guess. But you adjust your position for even 1 second and yeah, that's just a rectangular hot dog. And those are just my main problems. We aren't even done yet, but I'll speed through the rest. His pants at least have a texture this time, but they still don't look that good since his weird ass pants are weird and ass anyway. But at least it wasn't just left out. His wristbands don't fall off as easily as Freddy, but his belt is just not connected to his side, so it droops like hell and will not stay up whatever you do. Oh, and he also has those weird nub fingers I hate, which is confusing as most of the other plushies left this out. Like, what the hell? Well, his purple accents are nice. The fact that he only has 2 pairs of them really makes them just feel annoying since they really help his look. But there is not enough to help him out for being bad. But to be fair, this goes for the game as well. And finally, the most egregious of all, why is his head kind of shaped like a pear though? Like, this doesn't make him look scary, it makes him look like a fruit, but not like Freddy and Bonnie, more like apples and oranges.
Yeah, you are so right. Fruit ass head, but not like Freddy and Bonnie, of course. More like apples and oranges.
Hey, you didn't interrupt me once.
Yeah, I never interrupt you when I'm agreeing with you.
Seems healthy. So, are you leaving or?
I don't know how.
What?
Do you think I want to be here? No, I want to be the one autistically ranting about Monty's weird-ass broom head.
God, he really does look like that. Like, hey man, have you met Wet Floorbot?
Yeah, they would get along great. Or at least he tried to, but the bot would keep trying to clean him up because he's so ugly.
I'd make a joke about him replacing a much better character, but with those eyes, you'd think he'd be replacing Golden Freddy.
Nah, even he gets white pupils. Monty here just gets 2 dark abysses with, oh, interesting, 2 more dark abysses underneath them.
Anyway, I guess I shouldn't put this off anymore. Monty gets an obvious 2 out of 10. If you're wondering why I ranked this one better than the Youtooz, well, as I alluded to before, a plush has less pressure to be accurate, and the figure makes a lot of these same awful decisions and more while trying its best to look like the game. So while I think these are pretty equal in quality, it's clear that this one made me a lot less angry.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Back to the Fazbear Band, Chica is next, of course. Sorry, not all of these have a funny skit in front of them. It's classic Chica. Sometimes I just gotta jump right in. I can't tell you why, but I just adore her simple line smile. It fits the protruding beak quite well. I've never mentioned this, but the orange of her beak looks great with the yellow color scheme. For her eyes, they gave her these little points to help portray that she's a woman better. I've explained in the past why I actually kind of like this, but I won't repeat myself and just say that despite the implications, they make her look really cool and help her stand out against the others. Or, at least in my opinion, she does. On top of her head, she has 2 feathers flopped to the side, which isn't exactly like the game's. This actually looks way cuter than that weird 4-leaf clover design she usually has. One thing I definitely wish they didn't keep accurate was her toes. Why does she have toes? The others don't have toes. Why Chica? The others just get simple lines of thread and it looks okay. I mean, it works and it's simplistic. I don't mind it. So why did they give her these big, grossly out of place gray talons? It looks awful. But no matter, I'll just display my plush like this from now on. What's going on down there? Weird toes? Heavens no. No, Mr. Cupcake is always disappointing, but I'm not mad. I'm used to it by now. But it would have been nice, especially for $30. Speaking of toe stitching, Chica does have them on her hands, but I believe those are called fingers. And while I said I don't mind them, this hard black against Chica's bright yellow is quite the eyesore. It would have looked better if these stitches were made from a lighter shade of yellow to indicate the shadows of her fingers. But this works too, I guess. It just feels so lazy, man. The bib looks great, and as it is tied in the back, I believe you can take it off of her, but I'd rather not go through the hassle of trying. Plus, I'm awful at tying knots. I would never be able to get this thing back on. But one thing that sucks about this bib is that it has some really tough edges. Like, they feel kind of sharp even. It's hard to explain. That's all I have to say about her. Yeah, I didn't talk for 30 minutes about Chica. Imagine that. I am a fan of her, don't get me wrong. It's just that, well, I mean, literally what else do I talk about? Chica gets a 7 out of 10. I debated with myself on this score for quite a bit, but I feel like she fits that description I wrote very well. I'm sorry, but as much as I like these plushies, it's a little hard to come up with a lot to say about designs this simple. But luckily for us, that was the last super basic plush of the wave. As next up, we have Glamrock Chica, which, as you can tell, is a lot more complicated than classic Chica. Yeah, it is really weird to go from these basic-ass designs to these much more complicated-ass security breach ones, which obviously isn't a complaint, taking from someone who really liked the Chica plush we just covered. This is so much better. Can I just start by pointing out how cute she is? Like, oh my god, I love her so much! Of course, she has the same pros as the other security breach plushes, mainly the details on her face being so detailed. Specifically, her eyes are super pretty, especially in that pink. And much more accurate from that figure, by the way. I'm not sure why they thought they were blue, but I digress. The feathers on the top of her head are really accurate to the games and look so nice. I can't help but want to just, touch them. And the hair bow is just the hair bow on top. I thought it was reused from Freddy, but nope, it's a fully new design. One small detail I just love is her earrings, which are just triangles in the games, are folded over to make them more stable, and that is honestly really smart. Fine, moving away from her face. Okay, so her leotard doesn't look bad. In fact, I think that the way that they simplified it was wonderful and clever. It's just that the middle part looks kinda off. This differently colored part of her outfit is supposed to be inside of her, like a ball joint pretty much. But here, it all just looks like one piece. It's kind of funny, but the weird thick outlines Roxy had would have actually really fit well here, but oh well. The chibiness of the plushie really makes her belly look like a pink Easter egg, and that's kind of adorable. There is very little printing on Chica here, but where it is used, it's actually great. When I see Chica's leg warmers, I expect them to be kind of washed out and shitty. That's what cheap clothing like this always looks like. And with these more complicated designs, this makes a lot of sense, and I actually kind of adore it. Just like the daycare attendant and Monty, Glamrock Chica has fingers for some reason. I've said in the past that fingers on a FNaF plushie never look good, and while I'm not exactly a fan of these, I mean, I hardly even notice them. Unlike those monsters that the daycare attendant has, these just kind of blend in for me, and I often forget they exist. Sure, I wish that they weren't there, but this is a start. I don't know, it just looks like she's holding 3 fat eggs in each hand. Other than that, the splash of green with her fingerless gloves look really great. So if the price of that were egg fingers, I feel it was worth it. Speaking of parts of Chica that resemble food, her head shape is not quite it. In-game, Chica's head is a straight up white circle, which is the best way to depict her. But when Youtooz added a little shape, I wasn't mad, but this was just the concept art. Her head looks like a dumpling or a dumpling equivalent. I'm sorry, but it just doesn't look all that great. That, along with her super understuffed beak, I can't say that this is a perfect plush. Luckily for me, almost all of these problems were fixed with the sitting plush. Oh, Marionette, can you bring that in? Thanks, buddy. This line of plushies seemed pointless to me, and they kind of are. But they were a necessary evil, so fans could get these discontinued plushies, and for collectors who already had them, they get an updated design that fixes. Why is she pink? Why is the original pink? She's tinted pink. How am I only noticing now? She is straight up pink. And it's not only mine, but it's all of them. Why is she pink? Was she hanging out in the washing machine with Roxy's outfit? Okay, this isn't that bad. Like I said, I literally only noticed it when getting my sitting plush. But this revelation was mind-bending to me. I can't believe she has always been pink. My mind can't take it. Anyway, like I was saying, these plushies fixed a few problems I had with the originals, but they stayed mostly the same. Except for Chica, who got a major upgrade fixing almost every problem I had with her face, while mangling her body, but that's fine. The reason I bring this up is, well, seeing the updated design next to the old one makes it kinda look like ass. That white is blinding next to bubblegum Chica over here. It's so much better. Don't get me wrong, Glamrock Chica is still great, but when I see what we could have gotten and later did, well, it leaves me feeling a little underwhelmed looking back on her. That being said, the Glamrock Chica plush will be getting an 8 out of 10.
What the hell?
What?
That ranking was so out of nowhere, it completely stopped my video. What the hell are you doing over here?
What do you mean?
What do you mean? What do I mean?
Oh, because I just said the plushie looked like ass?
Ass, yeah, that was it. Are you, like, good at critiquing anything?
Yes, I know what I said. But this is still one of the best Youtooz products. Who cares if she looks a little goofy? It just makes her more charming. If sitting Glamrock Chica was identical to Chibi Glamrock Chica, I would just not care about either of them. That's how I feel about Roxy and Monty. But here, it feels like each of them have a personality. It makes me love both of them so much in their own ways. I've had this plush sitting in a designated spot alongside Roxy for months. That was until the sitting plushies came out and they were banished to the plush pile. But even then, they will always hold a special place in my heart. It's just one that's shared with their bigger younger sisters.
Yeah, whatever you say, man. I gotta get out of this crazy person's channel.
I'm not exactly happy about being metaphorically handcuffed to a Monty fan either.
Oh, shucks, I'm so hurt. What are you gonna do? Give yet another Chica the top slot? Predictable.
Are you gonna be like a permanent part of Prize Corner now?
Probably, but this was just my introduction video. I'm sure I'll show up less in later reviews, or maybe I'll straight up replace you in 4 episodes. If that's what the fans want, I guess I'll have to deliver.
What are you talking about? Why do you know that?
No, what?
You know what? Now that we're on the topic of questioning you, where the hell are you? It looks like a basement? Do you live in a basement?
Gotta bounce, home dog.
I think I need a new antivirus. In my opinion, the classic plushies have just been kinda weak. I mean, with designs this simple, certain templates just don't fit them, feeling like a lot of space was simply wasted. But one constant of this world is Foxy plushies always being of wildly different quality. Foxy doesn't fit the simple, cheap Funko plush style? Well, he'll probably work better as a bigger and more detailed Youtooz plush. And oh my god, is that an understatement. I'm not gonna lie, this is probably one of the best pieces of Foxy merch ever made. It isn't perfect at all, but I mean, it's pretty damn close for a character I don't even like all that much. As Foxy is more interesting than the others, almost none of the problems I have with the classics carry over to this guy. His head shape is wonderful and doesn't implode in person, and he is covered in really creative design choices, most notably this adorable patch of fur on his chest. I remember seeing this on the Youtooz website pre-release and being so mad that they gave him that tuft of fur and the tail around back. But since then, having actually gotten him in person, I realized that those were actually really cool additions that make the plush so much more interesting. And a perfect example of how changing a design for merch isn't always a bad thing, especially when comparing him to in-game Foxy. I'm sorry, but he is so much better, even down to the colors. I've always hated how Foxy was just red and a lighter shade of red, but Youtooz just ignores this and makes his muzzle this really nice contrasting tan that is incredible against this really pleasant looking bright red. I love this plushie's colors. He stands out so well. This tan is amazing, and I 100% believe that this is what he should have looked like in game. And now this is the part where I show you his Help Wanted model to prove my point, because it seems like Steel Wool also agrees. And with Security Breach and Help Wanted 2 keeping Captain Foxy like this, it seems as I may have gotten my way. Okay, I'm a little off topic now.
A little?
Will you just go home already? I really wish they gave these additions to other characters as well. Like, why was only Foxy given this treatment? Why not Roxy? Her hair would have looked so amazing with that fur. It's very weird, but that obviously isn't a complaint against this plush. Just a strange missed opportunity. Okay, that being said, I don't actually like the tail. If they had put the fur on here as well, then maybe it would work, but it genuinely just looks like an oval. This wouldn't be a huge deal to me if it was on the original Foxy, like, oh, they tried their best, but the fact that they added this tail to him and it doesn't even look good baffles me. Since we're talking shit, Funko did the hook better. There, I said it. Well, the flat but rough material doesn't always work, not really standing upright most of the time, but at least it doesn't look like this flaccid ass hook. I'm sorry. Awful design choice. And on the other hand isn't much better, with the endo printing just feeling useless and not looking great at all. But to be fair, the printing on the legs actually doesn't look that bad. So it's this weird middle ground. But as a nice change of pace, his pants are actually torn like in the games. This effect is done masterfully, with the withering being done on a fabric layer above the legs, meaning that none of this was printed on. Youtooz, who are you? The holes are subtle too, so it isn't too distracting. And while it is weird this wasn't carried to the rest of the plush, it just wouldn't have looked as good on his chest. So this I can be content with. It looks wonderful and is definitely the highlight of this plush. Back to the head, the eye seems a bit too small, but the patch works better than most Foxy patches. Hey, at least it's all real. And the tuft of fur on his head is tilted and drooping. I know it isn't a big deal, but man, he just looks so wet. Yeah, I would have preferred that one stay normal, but hey, it's a toss-up with these changes. But for probably my least favorite aspect of this plush, the ears just look so understuffed. I like the look of them, but they don't stand up well and are so wrinkly. Was this done to try to make them look fluffier? Because if so, I mean, why not? Why did they just put this fluff here and not other places it would have looked great in? Roxy doesn't have this problem, so what gives? Man, Youtooz has a problem with understuffing accessories, huh? I gotta say, I have some mixed opinions on the open mouth design, but on Foxy, it looks perfect. Like, if his mouth was closed, he would just look so much worse. But gosh, he just looks so jolly. It reminds me of Lolbit, which is always a good thing to do if you want to get on my good side. It looks so good with that bright red color as well. I adore it. Just like all of the plush. Yes, I complained a lot, but just because I have criticism about something doesn't mean I can't still like it. Foxy will be getting an 8 out of 10. I grappled with him getting a 9, but with all his faults and the fact that I kind of like Chica more anyway, I think that an 8 is where I lie. This plush is so good, and the few problems that it does have stick out like a sore thumb. But I mainly love this plush for things I can't exactly talk forever about, like his shape and his beautiful colors. So you have to just trust me here when I say I love this plush. But with my outspoken hate for Foxy, that might be hard to believe. And finally, we have arrived to the last plushie of the wave. Thank God I get a break after this. I long for a 3-figure wave. Roxanne Wolf is one of my favorite FNaF characters ever, but with her design being so complicated and already perfect, I'm a little worried about Youtooz fumbling her likeness. But with her figure being the highlight of the last wave we covered, I'm admittedly excited to see if this plush lives up to that. How about we start with some familiar downsides, namely her body. Roxy's outfit is portrayed rather strangely, with her top having this thick outline at the bottom so you can tell where it ends and where her stomach begins. Because I was really struggling with that, thanks Youtooz. While I would prefer if Smash 30S didn't happen all over it, I feel it works for what it is. And it could have been a lot worse, but I can't explain it. It isn't just the outline, but also, and this is gonna sound gross, but hear me out, it just looks too flat. Like, Roxy has so much shape in game, and here it just feels a little plain. While I dislike her top, her shoulder pads and bottoms definitely make up for it, even if overall, her outfit is very distracting to me. Speaking of her body, she has these dark purple leopard print on all of her limbs, and it is just too dark for me. Kinda makes it blend together. This isn't necessarily Youtooz' fault, but it's not the best print job either. But hey, at least the wristbands are printed on. Okay, I think I just prefer for them to be flimsy. Screw just her top. Her whole body looks flat. Or at least she has her tail. Oh, nope, never mind. Somehow that's flat too. Well, I think the shape is fine. It looks better than Foxy's, honestly. It still just doesn't quite work. If only they included that fur from his plushie. For not just her tail, but her hair as well. That definitely would have helped. That being said, I love how they did her hair. It isn't a chunky, ugly plush recreation or anything like that. It's literally just a sheet of material that they cut into the shape of her hair and left it like that. This is so funny, man. And sure, maybe funny isn't the nicest way to describe it, but her just having a blanket on her head is not only hilarious, but effective and genius. No notes. I'd say print a texture on it, but yeah, maybe don't do that. Like I said, fur would have looked amazing for her hair, but I feel like that wouldn't hold up as well on such a large, wrinkly surface. Despite everything, I adore how they did her hair. It's so stupid, I love it. Okay, so not only was that every complaint I had about her body, but it was also every complaint I have about her at all. Her eyes, of course, are beautiful. And that is coming from someone who doesn't even like yellow. They just made it so pretty, especially with the purple face paint. They work so well together. Her green swoop looks better than ever and really makes her pop even more. Her ears may be a little understuffed, but the piercing and studs really help form a more consistent shape, I feel. Unlike with Foxy's. Plus, it just looks wonderful. This expression, well, cute, isn't exactly fitting of Roxy. But honestly, it looks so good, I don't even really care all that much. A bit more of a stern look would have been more appealing, but I get it. It's a style. It doesn't really take away from how adorable she is. Look at her little fangs and her lips. She looks so fucking cute. I love her so much. Oh my god. Well, I don't think she is exactly what I'd like to see in a Roxy plush. I mean, they really butchered her body. That face is more than I could have ever asked for, and is quite literally perfect. I'll be giving the final plush of the wave, Roxy, a 9 out of 10. And I feel like she definitely earned that. I mean, this plush looks pretty much the same as the previous ones at first glance, but to me, the more you look at this plush next to Freddy, and especially Monty, and honestly, even Chica, it becomes painfully obvious how much better this plush truly is. Which is why, till very recently, she was my favorite Youtooz plush ever. Huh, why the hell do we always end on either the worst item or the best item? I swear I don't plan these endings to work as well as they do. And that was the FNaF 1 and Security Breach Youtooz Chibi Plush Wave. Look, I swear I actually like Youtooz, but I can't help that the first 9 episodes of this goddamn show are just the classics 9 times in a row. I hate to say it, but I am getting so sick of these characters, and I just want to talk about something different. But I won't hold that against this wave. At least it also included the Security Breach characters. That was definitely nice, and the obvious highlight of this set. I mean, look at these comparisons. But as good as some of these are, I can't just ignore the fact that more than half of this wave is boring. Good thing they've all been repackaged 30 times since then. Yay. I'm so sorry I keep giving out this score. I swear it's been a few episodes in a row now. But Youtooz first FNaF plush wave is unfortunately going to get a 6 out of 10. And once again, I'm sorry I say this in like every episode now, but it's not like I hate them. They just could have been a whole lot better, and in some cases, they have gotten better. I mean, Glamrock Chica is the obvious example, but the other sitting plushies look just as good. Except for the Monty plush. They didn't change shit about him. Why the fuck do they hate him so much? They just aren't interesting since, well, they aren't anything new. Yeah, I hope you all are looking forward to my sitting plushies review, because I'm not. So for as boring as Freddy and Bonnie are, I mean, at least I have Roxy and the Chicas. That's good enough, I guess. And that was the first episode of Prize Corner Season 2. Yeah, I know it was a little rough and we had a few interruptions, but I feel like it was a good look into the future. Here are all the plushies on the tier list. I was debating on if I should start a new tier list for the new season, or if I should just update the same one from last year. But then I thought, why not both? So that was obviously the new one, so here's the full list. Is this redundant? Oh yeah, big time.
You really are good at this video thing, huh?
Thank you all for watching. I'm sorry, this one was kind of miserable to get through. It's not that these plushies are awful, not even close. I love some of these so much. It's just, they were so painfully mediocre that scripting this one took forever as I just kept losing motivation to work on it. But hopefully the final product wasn't as bad to watch as it was to script. But now that I'm done, I can really get into the good stuff I've been planning for a while. Make sure you stick around. And join me here for episode 2 where I cover yet another classic Funko merch line.
Yay! Woo!
Thanks.
Yeah!
You know, I still don't fully get your deal. I thought you were like making your own video.
I was, but I finished a while ago.
What? How?
I'm efficient with my writing. Plus, I didn't go on an unhinged rant about why Glamrock Chica is bad and then give her an 8.
Huh. Good point. Hey, Marionette, can you do troubleshooting? I'm awful with computers.
Trying to get rid of me already? I'm hurt.
I thought you were hating being interrupted too.
Nah, you've kind of grown on me. I welcome it now.
Oh, cool.
Yep, get used to my epic voice and objectively correct takes because I'm not leaving.
See you on the flip side.